There was a tweet by a senior journalist mocking another journalist, Arnab Goswami. The mockery was that Arnab's media has become a slave, and such slavish media should be called Sati Savitri media. This raised some eyebrows. The issue here is not whether we like Arnab or not. What made us compare a supposedly slavish attitude to Sati and Savitri? The underlying assumption is that Sati and Savitri had a slave like behavior, complying with everything told to them in a male dominated society. So the natural question is, who were Sati and Savitri? Now, this is not unique to this tweet. It's a larger issue of everyday conversations, and that is why it is important to verify the depth in such labels. Some tweeters brought this up. They told us the life that these two women had. So, who were they? And I'm picking some literature from the tweets by Jay Sundar. Savitri was born to a king and decided to choose her husband herself. She selects Satyavan, a handsome and strong man, but son of a blind, bankrupt king. But the main worry that Savitri's father had was Satyavan is destined to die after 1 year. He persuaded her not to marry Satyavan, but Savitri didn't listen. Too much for being a slavish woman. Let's find more. The marriage takes place, and at the end of 1 year, as destined, Satyavan falls down and is lifeless. Savitri holding his head in her lap. Yamraj comes and takes Satyavan away. The weak, slavish woman didn't give up. She follows Yam. Planning to get her husband back, she starts praising Yam. Yama offers her a boon and she can ask anything other than her husband's life. Yama is smart. Savitri asks that her father in law get her eyesight back and his kingdom restored. Granted. Yamraj keeps going to Yamlok. Savitri keeps following and thanks Yama for his generosity. Yama, impressed, gives her one more boon except for Satyavan's life. She asks for 100 children for her father. Granted. Yama continues and Savitri didn't give up. She kept praising Yama. This was getting too much and Yam gave her one last boon before she crosses Vaitarni river, after which there is no return from Yamlok for Savitri. So for a third time, Yam tells her to ask for anything other than her husband's life. She asks for 100 children for herself and Satyavan. Now Yama knows that this is not possible if Satyavan is dead, and he cannot go back on his promise. So he says he can't do this, but please ask anything else. And this is the moment Savitri is waiting for. She says she understands that the boon is difficult. Don't give me 100 kids. Just give me Satyavan back. And Yamraj can't deny. Too much for a slavish, home-tied, dominated woman. Now who is Sati? Born to the king Daksh, she married the god Shiva. Daksha was not happy to send her daughter to a god living ascetic life in the Himalayas. Later, Daksh organized a big yagna and invited all gods and sages other than Shiva. Although Shiva didn't care, Sati didn't like this. She went to the yagna and cursed her father. And then, since her bodily life had come from Daksh, she didn't want any part of it. She invoked Yogagni and burned herself to ashes. They don't seem to be stories of weak women deprived of their rights and responsibilities, slaves to their masters. They are women who have demonstrated total authority on their action. Just reading about them can empower a woman. We should do some study on how important values, relations, and characters from our stories have been ridiculed in pop culture. Sati and Savitri are not alone here. The word Baba gained a negative connotation. I used to call my grandfather as Baba. Few years ago, we mocked being sanskari. Bollywood and social media led the campaign. Even before that, there was a taunt on Behenji. Remember the TV series behind this? And slowly, no lady wanted to be called a Behenji. A beautiful, respectful way to look at other women was laughed upon. And then we complained about respect towards women. In the liberal idea of the world, it is crucial to de-link people from their past. Irresponsibly, they have misrepresented and mocked values. For the liberal thought, the freedom to be irresponsible is a higher virtue than responsibility itself. This is an issue in the contemporary liberal thought. We think that liberty makes us immune from the outer world, but there is nothing to be liberated from in the world outside us. Liberation happens within, from our own bondings. So when we look at notions from our past, let us be careful enough to examine them before mocking them and learning from them before disregarding them. Thank you.